Hi, my name is Anne Kajava, and today my dogs Motion, Manja, and I would like to give you a tutorial about acceleration and deceleration in agility. Acceleration and deceleration cues are our strongest physical cues in agility. Typically, physical cues override our verbal cues, so they are very, very important. If you look at this picture in slow motion of my Sheltie Manja, you'll notice her starting out with great acceleration. Her strides are long and extended. Then she'll begin to collect her strides to enable a very tight turn, a tight wrap around the jump stanchion. At Jump and Java Agility, we use a DARET system of handling. Always keep your eye on your dog. This is important so that you stay connected with your teammate. Face the direction you want your dog to go until commitment. Commitment meaning takeoff. Use the arm and leg closest to the dog to send the dog forward. We'll now start our groundwork training, meaning that we begin our training with no equipment. We first start out with a restraint recall. This is where someone holds our dogs, where we take advantage of opposition reflex, meaning we're held back from something that we want. The target is what the dog wants. With that, you need to make sure that what you're throwing is of value to the dog. We want it to land so that they can focus on it, and then we can use a motivational word like ready, steady, and then we release and drive them to the toy. What we want to do is initially throw the toy closer to the dog and then incrementally throw the toy further and further away, where both we and our dogs drive to the toy. Step 2 of our groundwork for acceleration training is where the dog and handler drive forward towards a moving target. Initially, when we have the target out, it's a lure. Now what we want is for the dog to do the work first and then get paid. So what we'll do is we'll start to run, the dog will drive ahead of us, and then a reward will be presented. Similar to what we did before, what we want to do is initially have the dog drive a short way ahead of us and then reward them, and then incrementally have them drive further and further away from us, with reward being presented later each time. Consistency in handling and also placement of reward is very important. We want our near arm to send the dog forward, not to turn away from us. Avoid flicking. We also want to teach the dog, again, to drive forward, not cut across our path. So we need to make sure that the toy is thrown straight ahead. Now we'll teach our dogs deceleration. First of all, we want to teach them that we equal reinforcement, and our dogs should drive to reinforcement even if we're not moving. So we lead out, we're ahead of them, they drive into us, they don't pass us up, and when they turn into us slightly, we reward. Note that when we lead out, our feet are planted firmly beneath us. We don't look like we're going to run. What we also want to do is often after we reward them, we redirect and drive them on. So we're showing them a clear picture of what deceleration looks like and a clear picture as to what acceleration looks like. Next, we'll add a stationary target as a trap. So we'll throw a target out, lead out in decel position, release our dog, reward. Again, we'll throw the trap out. We might get a little bit closer to that trap, release our dogs, have them drive to us, and then we can redirect. So we're showing them clear deceleration and clear acceleration. Now we'll combine our acceleration and deceleration training. First of all, we want to lead out, drive forward, and decelerate. We then reward our dog for coming into us. The next step is to use a stationary target as a trap. Run towards that trap, decel, and reward. Run towards a trap, decel, reward, and redirect our dog to that trap. We can add a moving target and have that target being thrown closer and closer to the dog. Now we'll throw a toy out as a trap. Lead out, decel, reward, and redirect the dog to the trap. We'll toss it out again, 2 targets this time. We'll drive our dog to one target, throttle them off, reward, and redirect. Notice that motion was rewarded with food. It's ideal if you can go back and forth between rewarding with food and toys. Now we've got a trap out. We'll put the dog further away from that trap. What we're going to be doing is adding more speed. Drive the dog towards one trap, throttle them off, and redirect. Now we'll apply all the groundwork we've done to jumps. We'll first work on acceleration. Acceleration to a single jump. We've got moving targets, we've got stationary targets. Now we'll move on to deceleration. We'll start with the single jump. What we want to do initially is lead out to our decel position, release our dog, he checks his stride, drives into reinforcement, and we reward. Again, we lead out to decel, dog drives to reinforcement, and we reward. Now we'll add distance and speed with 2 jumps. The dog should extend his stride initially and then collect before the second jump. Drive into reinforcement and reward. Let's now watch motion in slow-mo. Haha. Watch him extend his stride and now collect. Note he's understanding to turn and drive to reinforcement. We reward, and now we want to show that acceleration picture. So we accelerate on ahead. Now let's combine our acceleration and deceleration training on jumps. We can start out on one jump. In this case, we'll start out on 2. We run into that second jump, decel, reward. And then we can accelerate out of that reward. So we show 2 pictures, decel, accel. Now we've got a third jump there as a trap. We decelerate, front cross wrap, and drive them on. Now we'll put all of this work together on drills. First of all, we'll start out with acceleration. Dog and handler accelerating down the line, into the tunnel, back down the line, reward. Now we're going to decelerate into a 180. Decel and drive down the line. Let's now watch the same thing in slow motion. Note dog and handler are accelerating down the line. A stride or so before that yellow jump, the handler decelerates, which then cues a dog to decelerate. And then both dog and handler accelerate down the line. Let's watch a portion of this drill. Notice Manja striding, collecting to get a tight turn. We'll watch it in slow motion. She's striding, takes one stride, takes off, lands equal distance. Now she gathers her stride and collects for that tight turn around the jump stanchion. Here's another. The handler's in lead out decel position and then accelerates to the tunnel. And then decels there at the end. We'll watch it in slow motion now. Dog takes off and lands equal distance to the jump. Handler's in decel, the dog collects, wraps and turns, knowing that that turn is coming up, always driving to reinforcement, which is the handler. And then we accelerate down the line. More acceleration here, followed now by decel. Now we'll watch another one. Lead out to decel position. Decel there a bit for the 180. Drive them into the tunnel facing the way we want the dog to go. Be prepared for decel. And throttle. We want to show acceleration to decel, slight decel for the 180. Now let's focus on throttle drills. We'll start out with 2 jumps, throttle with deceleration, reward. We'll add a 3rd jump, more speed, throttle, deceleration, reward. Now we'll put it together. So dog and handler accelerate down the line and into the tunnel. We decel for a 180, accel, throttle decel into the tunnel, and then accelerate down the line. Now on this drill, let's watch what's a little bit less than ideal. Lead out to decel, but oops, we have a few steps forward, even though we're trying to show decel and the dog goes long. Now we're running here, but we run past the plane of that jump for a wide turn. Let's now watch it again. Handler's in decel and remains in decel until the dog commits to the jump, gets a much more efficient turn there, accelerates to the tunnel, gets up ahead so as to show nice deceleration for collection and a nice tight turn. In summary, remember, acceleration equals stride extension, both on the dog and the handler's part. Acceleration is, of course, critical for speed. Deceleration equates stride collection, both on the dog and the handler's part. It's critical for tight turns and efficient course times. It also helps with the prevention of off courses, and because the dog is getting information earlier regarding turns, it helps prevent injury. Remember in dog training that consistency is key. One cue should equal one behavior. Remember as well to reward right. If your dog does something right, reward. Finally, reward with something that's rewarding to your dog. Find out what they love, not what you love, but what they love, and reward with it. Pay them in a currency that they value.